What dive light? Oh, let me just start off here. I'm just scrolling down, and if you have questions, you can post them on here on this one, and I'm also going through the original video here. In that, Eric Tyson, I don't know if Eric is back on. Eric asked what dive light it was on the Guardian. Well, on the Guardian, I had the Sola. It's the Light in Motion Sola, and we sell those. They're nice lights. They're nice, compact, and they're bright as all get out. They also are adjustable. Let me grab it here. It's also adjustable. It has a locking feature, rechargeable in that you don't have to open anything up. It's external recharging, and really just a cool little light. They've come down in price. They were pretty expensive, but it has two different modes. It has a spot. I'll put it back here. It has a spot, and then adjustable on the spot, and then you pull it back, and it goes into, you can see, well, kind of hard to tell there, but flood. Different settings on the flood, and then it goes to spot. So this is the Sola 1200. They make the, hey Sam, they used to make a 600, right? And then the 800, 1200, and the 2000s. I don't know. And again, I'm not up on them lately, so I don't know. So I'm not sure what the latest are that they have. I should be looking that up, I guess. That's good to hear, Brian, that they're opening up in there. Some dive shops opening up in Washington. Yeah. Oh, lane cod season starts this month, right? So that's where I first started spearfishing. It's been 23 years ago, up in Puget Sound. Wow, time flies. Anyway, yeah, it's a Sola. That's a Sola 1200 is what I had on there. Eric asked that. Austin, you answered it as the 800, but that one was a 1200 that I had on there. But it's the same one, or the same one, same mount. It's same size, same platform. The shell and everything is exactly the same size between the 2000. They carry a pair of lithium batteries in here that really run them pretty long. And if you need to extend it, you just crank it down to the lower power setting, and that will extend the range of your light. Again, lights and mask mounts are going crazy with the lumens is not really beneficial to you sometimes. So you need to sort of be careful about getting too much. You want something that's going to light up what you're working on, and then again, every task is going to be different. So Brent's asking if the rail mounts is repairable with a warranty. They do have Sam's answering that. They do have a lifetime warranty, and people don't take advantage of that. And I don't want to, shoot Sam in the foot with this, but do. I mean, it's he has a lifetime warranty on this stuff. If anybody watches Bering Sea Gold, Sam will remember this, that what's his name? Vern from Bering Sea Gold called me up, and he was a little irritated. He broke something. I didn't know he broke something. Well, ends up Sam replaced it for him for nothing, and because he was a little upset about how much it cost to replace this one component, and it was under warranty. So call Sam up, call us, and we'll put you in touch with Sam, whatever the case may be. Okay, that was Body Shadow that Dennis had posted on there. I'm scrolling down through the questions again here. What adapter do you need for the GoPro? Is Eric on here this time? I'm not sure if Eric Tyson came back. I think he did. It depends on which one. There are several different adapters for the GoPro. This one is it's called the Combo, and it mounts the light and the GoPro. And then we have just a GoPro mount as well that goes on the rail system. And then for the Spectrum, as I mentioned earlier, the Spectrum, we have just the little GoPro mount that clips on the top that you can see in the original video that I did earlier. And this is not very expensive. I don't know what the retail is, $20 or something like that. It's not very expensive to mount on the Spectrum. The rail system, like I said, it's a little more expensive, but like I say, if you look at the machining work on this, that's why. It's not molded cheap plastic stuff from from overseas. It's made in the United States, and it's machined, and it's extremely well made. So you pay for what you get. You get what you pay for. And if you want it good, you have to pay for it. If you want it cheap, well, you don't get it good. So those are the compromises. That's sort of the way we go. That's the way that goes. What adapter you need for the GoPro? The direction changers come with it, as Sam mentioned. I had an OTS for 5 years, going strong. Thank you very much, Sean. That light's no longer available. So check with us. We should have Sam's new upgraded aluminum body light. I haven't seen it, but this is the one they sent me. Shame on them at the shop for sending me obsolete stuff or older stuff. It still works. Not obsolescence isn't necessarily the case. Okay. Is Desiree on? I don't know if Desiree's on. I can't see. I don't see Desiree up here, but it's hard to say. Hard to see if there's any light you recommend. Hang on, let me answer Desiree's. Jeff, don't let me skip past you, though. Being a hull diver, hard to see it sometimes. Is there any light you would recommend? Just the one that I mentioned here. This one would probably be for a work light. It's going to illuminate all you need because you're only working right here anyway. It's right out in front of you, so you don't need anything too crazy as far as brightness goes. You don't need a 2,000 lumen light, so it would work. It would work well with that. Anyway, to Desiree's question, if she gets back on. The adapter, which adapter do you recommend for recording to the GoPro? It's not so much a matter of the adapter. It's also going to be the ear microphone assembly that you get or that you're going to use. And you can do this also with a Spectrum mask in that you need to have the ear microphone assembly. So you have to have the dual earphones. And I have a buddy phone, but it's over there in the box. I'm not going to jump up and grab it. So you need to be able to remove one of the earphones out and mount it on the back or somewhere in very close proximity to the GoPro. I wouldn't recommend you put a piece of dual lock on the back of your screen on a Hero 7 or a Hero 8. But if you use the external housing, the additional housing, this will only go to about 1 atmosphere, so I'm told. And if you need to take it deeper, you need to put it in another housing. And so you can mount it to the other housing. But you just put it on you take the earphone out, put it on to, snap it on. I'll go ahead and remove this again. I showed this in the previous video. But you're going to pull the earphone out and you're going to just snap it somewhere on the GoPro housing and it'll record directly to the housing. Dennis had posted the link in the other chat in the previous video that we did here, and that'll show you what the quality of sound is that you get. There you are, Desiree. So that'll show you the quality that you can get if you're already set up with an SSB 2010 and the ear microphone assembly. Again, you need to be able to remove this an earphone out and put on the back. Now, Josh Roten, who's not here today because he's doing some training with Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office, years ago, Josh kind of came up with this idea of putting a GoPro on a receive-only unit. That's a buddy phone without the microphone. It's just a received buddy phone. It doesn't have a microphone push-to-talk assembly. And so Josh had a tray for his little GoPro, and he put a buddy phone, a receive-only unit, right underneath it, and he ran it that way, and it works. So if you're going to run a GoPro on a tray, and I've got a GoPro on a tray with dual lights, which is really handy, and you get much better video with a GoPro on a tray. That's something I wanted to talk about too. I should have mentioned that earlier. Anytime you have a camera here, but anyway, back up to that. So what he did is he mounted that, and it records as well because the speaker there is going to be heard by the camera. So it works really well from that standpoint. So if you have buddy phones, you can get an RX100 mounted underneath, and that'll work well. If you do it right, you're going to have to noodle it out as to how you're going to engineer it because we don't make aftermarket products to fit that stuff. But you can You noodle it out how you're going to mount it, and then when you're not using your GoPro, then you can hand the RX off to your buddy who's not diving a full face mask, and they can participate in some of the conversation. They can at least listen to that part of it. So that's. Did I answer your question, Desiree? If I didn't answer your question, feel free to shoot me an email or shoot me a message on here. If you don't have me on your Facebook as a friend on your Facebook, John Hott. In Caryville, Florida, you can look me up there and shoot me a note. I do a lot of business on Messenger. It's kind of surprising how much business we do on Messenger. Now, the other thing, what I was starting to say about mounting a GoPro on your mask, be it on the side or up on the top, your videos, you have to really concentrate on how you're shooting your videos, because your camera is following your head, and you're going to have wiggle of your video, and it gets really nauseating to watch that kind of video. So you have to concentrate on your head being your camera mount, so that when you're shooting something, you're holding your head still while you're getting your shot. And so you do your countdown or whatever it is as you shoot. Depending on what your subject, because you're going to be recording the entire dive most likely. So you're going to dump all that video into your system, and then you're going to clip it all out. So think about your shoot. And you always want to, when you're composing video too, you always want to think of your long shot, your medium shot, and your close-up shot of any subject. So those are just some little pointers about videography. And then also, again, focus on your subject, so that you've got your camera pointed on your subject. You want to hold it, and I generally, shoot 5-6 seconds, whatever your case may be. Depending if it's animal behavior, you may be sitting there for minutes or longer watching animal behavior. So keep in mind that your head is now your camera mount, so you're not constantly doing this and making everybody sick. It's not going to make everybody sick, because you're just going to find out you've got an hour or whatever amount of useless video that you can't really shoot. So keep that in mind. So GoPros on trays is not a bad way to go as well. So it works really well. Keep that in mind. Let's continue on down. Okay, I don't have questions there. I'm scrolling back up. I think Dennis posted that again. Jeff, hull diver's hard to see. Again, the lights, as I mentioned, and I'm getting redundant here, so I'm kind of repeating myself. You don't need to get a super powerful light for working in close, like underneath the hull. If you're in dark water, mucky water, the brighter light, you're going to backscatter, and you're not going to see what your subject is anyway. So I would recommend going with a lower powered light for those applications. Again, if you go crazy on the lumens, it's not doing you any favors. If you're in real clear water, like we have in the springs around here, if you've never dived the springs, it's gen clear water. I mean, it's unlimited visibility for all practical purposes wherever you happen to be, as long as you're in the spring water. I have a video someplace of Morrison Springs, and it's crazy how clear that water is. Just crazy, beautiful, beautiful water. If you get a chance to dive the springs, do. The next clearest water I've ever seen was off of Cozumel on Shankanab Deep. We have 200-foot plus visibility. And of course, other people, the Rift and Iceland, Greenland, wherever it is, and then also down in Antarctica, they have all kinds of clear water too. So keep that in mind. All right, so don't go too crazy on the lights. If you're working close up, do they have a speaker you can attach to a hookah float? Not sure what you mean. Do you mean like a loudspeaker that'll broadcast tunes underwater? We have a diver recall system. It's the diver recall system's a little spendy. For that application, I'm not sure that you want to spend it. It's $5,000. So more than happy to sell you. You should have a backup too. So you should have a pair of those. But being realistic, hull cleaning, no, we don't have anything with that. With a hookah system, I'd probably recommend that you go to a hardwire system, and you could, you'd have to use a 4-wire if you want to pipe music down or listen to books or whatever while you're underwater. But you would have to go to probably a Mark II or Mark 7. You could wire it up to where you could pipe audio into it, but that would be some noodling out as well. So, hello, Razvan from Dubai. Been a while since I've been there. I'd like to go back sometime. Hello, Mitch. Mount it to the hull with a suction cup mount. That's a good idea. You know, if you want to just listen to stuff through the hull, you can do that. You could just put a speaker, just get a kind of a louder speaker and put it on the hull. If you're aluminum, it's fine. Fiberglass a little harder to listen through. Okay, I think I've answered all the questions. Does anybody else have any further questions? Rail mounts, we asked warranty items. I'm scrolling down through the questions, scrolling up. Anybody have any other questions? If we don't, I'm going to check off here. I don't want to waste anybody else's time just rattling on. Again, I forgot what our subject is next week. I should have that with me. But we'll be posting what next week's subject is going to be. It'll be the same time. This was number 5. We're going for number 6. Who would have thought that this pandemic would be running this long? It's kind of troubling. It's nice that we're starting to open back up again. Best method for marking rope. Craig, there's different ways. I know people have used shrink wrap and slid it all the way down. You have to make sure that it fits over the one end of the rope, and then they shrink it down and they mark that. Different other people, and I know Lifeguard Systems has addressed this, and others have as well. They have sort of a code system. But you can, depending on the rope that you have, you can like the floating comm line, you can mark it with a magic marker. You can write your lengths on it with a magic marker, and because an indelible marker will mark that. As far as marking the standard comm rope, we don't have a specific way that we do it. I've seen people put some ribbons on it, but ribbons get rubbed off and stuff like that. Shrink wrap or come up with a barcode system. That's kind of hard to follow. You have to kind of learn a language to be able to do that. Now, what I'm talking about that is a thick line for one length, a thin line to mark another, and you stack them. Lifeguard Systems, again, had this sort of coded length, but you have to learn that. So try to figure that out. But the new floating comm line, and I haven't talked about the new floating comm line much, but the new floating comm line is pretty cool stuff. I kind of like it. It's disadvantages, advantages, disadvantage. It has a coil to it. If you don't lay it out right, if you don't unspool it right, it'll have a little bit of a coil to it. And it doesn't just go boop to the surface. It's lighter than water, and it's going to kind of play up behind you to the surface, minimizing the amount of snags that you might, if you're swimming in a snag-prone environment, it'll do that. Nice thing about a Sharpie, if it wears off, reapply it as you need to. So you can always put it back on. So give that a shot. But again, the floating comm line, I really like the floating comm line. It's works out pretty well. So I think what else? Anybody else have any other questions? Clip-on LED glow sticks works great for the line. Yeah, you could use a clip-on glow stick. Electrical marking tape, Pete Gannon, the tight stuff that you wrap on and squeeze, wrap it really tight and over and upon itself. And you can use different colors for different ones. You can get the assortment. So if you're going to mark by increments of 20, you could look at that. Anything under, you could use a single line for under 100. Over 150 feet, you got to think comm rope lengths, and we bore you guys with getting off subject of accessories, but comm line and lengths of comm line. I get people that want to call up and say, I want to order a 300-foot comm rope. Oh, okay, that's cool. Pulling 250 feet of rope behind you is a chore. So you need to keep that in mind. And then we also, whenever you're thinking about comm rope, is how far do you need to it's administrative line on the surface. So in every environment is going to be different. So where's your CIC going to be? your command, where you're going to set up your communications. Where's your tender going to be? How much line do they need to get from where the tender is going to be stationed to actually get to the water line where the diver's getting in the water? That's administrative line. So make sure that you take into consideration the amount of line you need for that. 150 is the most common length of rope. 200 second, 250. Keep in mind you can't stretch it. You can always coil it, but you can't stretch it. So whenever you're thinking about that, a little off subject there. So just wanted to cover that with people. What else did we not cover? I think I covered pretty much everything. The big deal about, again, accessories and mounting a camera to your mask. You really have to keep in mind that your head is the camera mount. And so if you're doing this, looking at all kinds of stuff, your video is useless. So you're wasting your time shooting video like that, and so just be careful with it, whenever you're doing that. Camera that fits under the shoulder, the BCD works well. I have no concept of what you mean. Send me a picture of what you made, Rezvan. That fits under the shoulder, or fits on the shoulder. Oh, it's a mount here. Okay, fits on the shoulder of your BCD. Oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, send a picture of that. That'd be kind of neat. That's kind of getting into what GoPro, GoPro's got the straps for action camera go on the chest, stuff like that. You see fishermen that are shooting from the chest, and all you see is a reel, and that's kind of annoying. But yeah, keep in mind where you mount the camera and also how much movement is to the camera. So, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap that up unless anybody else wants to shoot a quick question up there. I'll delay my hanging up here for about 10 or 15 seconds. Again, I want to thank everybody for attending and watching the video. Feel free, if you have suggestions, stuff you want to hear, when you want to talk about, if you have dive teams that want to do have a conversation, if you're doing meetings over Zoom or whatever, if you'd like me to join in and do those, we've done some so far, and it's a good way to do things. So let us know. All right, everybody. Well, thanks again. I don't have it now. We'll find it, send it to you. Okay. Yeah, do that. Browse, send me what you got. I'd be interested in seeing it. And again, thanks a lot. I appreciate everybody's input and your questions, and I hope to see you here again next week. Thanks again. Everybody stay healthy, and appreciate your being customers and hanging on here. Hey, Steve, you're just coming in a little too late. You have to watch the video. I'll talk to you all soon. Thanks a lot.